I am super excited as usual because I have Rohit with me. Hi Rohit,
Hi, Priyanka. How are you?
I'm fine. I hope you're doing well.
I am super good and I'm super excited about today's episode.
Me
Thank you
too.
for having me again on Studio Scoop.
I
And
am so glad that you recommended this movie. I am super excited about the Kahani Mein twist, the
yes,
next episode, because of the movie you picked. You have delighted me to the core.
really, I'm
Yeah.
glad. I'm glad. You made my day completely. And yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about this very, very
Yes.
special film. And it's staying on my mind. I have seen, I think, 2 weeks back, and I can't stop thinking about it.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, I saw
let's
it recently. So without further ado, let's introduce. So आज की कौन सी कहानी है जो हम अनवील करने वाले हैं रोहित?
आज की कहानी का नाम है द ग्रेट इंडियन किचन. It's a very, very sensitive, very sincere film by director Joe Baby. It's a Malayalam film, and I am super excited to talk about the nuances, the nitty-gritties they have shown, the moments they have handpicked in the narrative. It's really good. So let's not waste time, Priyanka, and talk about the
Yay! Let's
film.
get into it directly. So, what do you think about the Great Indian Kitchen? I mean, we all have been part to it, don't you feel?
Oh yes. So when Indian kitchen comes, and whenever we hear such thing, Indian kitchen, the first thing pops up the food, in our minds. Food and being from the khata pita ghar ke khandan ka banda, coming from up north, food plays a very pivotal role in everybody's life. We all are foodies. You are foodie, I know you. You are foodie. I am foodie, and we love to try different kind of cuisines. To begin with, I would take you back to the film Lunchbox,
Oh, another beautiful.
directed by Ritesh Batra, 2012 Dharma Productions film. It stars later Irfan Khan Saab, Nimrat Kaur, and my all-time favorite Nawazuddin Siddiqui. Such a beautiful story woven around a dabba, different kind of food which she packs, and this is how their love story starts. And it's one of its kind concept back then, and I was so touched and bowled over the concept. It played on my mind for the longest time, and it achieved obviously a lot of accolades across world, got a lot of awards. How a simple story of food, they have shown in a certain way, which actually touches your heart. I have not seen any other film apart from Lunchbox where you get to see different kind of cuisines, different kinds of emotions related to food. There was a film called Stanley Ka Dabba, which Amol Gupte directed, and it's on child labor. Again, a very small, sweet, simple, honest film about a small kid, and how his school teacher threatens him to get the dabba from his house. And later we come to know towards the end that he's a cleaner in a hotel, and he sleeps there. And how this guy transformed into a different kind of human being with all the courage. And in the end, he puts the dabba in front of the soul. And again, it's a beautiful film. So I think apart from these two films, I have not seen any stronger film like The Great Indian Kitchen until I saw that. It has to do with food.
It has
Yes.
to do with food. And the title, when you recommended for a minute, I thought, okay, this seems to be a chef movie because we are so used to having these
Yes.
titles in TLCs and discoveries of the
Yeah,
world.
it's a very
And
fancy title, The Great
yeah,
Indian Kitchen. It's kind of a reality show title
yeah. And then
of.
when I was first, I saw the movie poster and I was like, okay, seems like a love story. Maybe the female is a good cook or the guy is a good cook. I was having that mindset when I
Something of that sorts, yeah.
started.
Right.
Yeah.
And what was your reaction when you finally saw the film? I think you must be like flipped. Like, what just happened?
What just happened? Yeah. And Rohit, for the first half of the movie, I was thinking, okay, I want to see more. But I was also at the same time, I started feeling for the character so much. I mean, I could relate with
True.
her struggles
The
and
pain, the
the
grief.
pain, the grief, and that norm. I mean, sorry to jump the guns, but to be honest, like the great Indian kitchens are known for that. The hard work our mothers have been putting in that kitchen.
Let's put it like a gender, like women mostly. In most of the houses, it is a very, very important role played by our women gender. But on the contrary, I feel our generation has changed. Food and cooking is not limited to women anymore. Like I have learned so many dishes personally during lockdown, and my mother is kind of very proud of the kind of pictures I sent her after cooking and garnishing my food and all that stuff. My parents are very happy about it, that I learned something new in the pandemic.
And
Though I was fond of cooking, but you have to get that time, and you have to get that kind of atmosphere around it. Space, absolutely.
And we Indians are
So
known for
that,
our hospitality, We Indians are known
absolutely,
for our
Atiti
hospitality.
Devo Bhava.
So,
That's the
and it all begins with feeding our guests the best food possible. We both
the
are
best
North Indians.
food possible.
So
especially.
Coming back to the movie, let's what do you think? How did you find the story?
So I will tell you a very, very small incident. So I have been to Kerala, and I have seen the houses there. I have attended one of the very beautiful Malayali weddings, and I have interacted with the people around. I have seen the backwaters. So I know their culture, and I have a lot of friends from Cochin and Trivandrum. When I went there, it was so surreal to see the culture out there. There's no nightlife, but there is certain kind of calmness in the air. There's certain kind of flavor in the city, in a place like Kerala, where coconut is most consumed, and they eat very good fish, chicken, mutton, and of the houses. The houses are so big, palatial, beautiful houses with a swing and a big porch. So when I started watching the film, when I switched on to Amazon, and I have heard such great reviews of the film, and everybody's like, you have to watch it, you have to watch it. So the build-up was so good, and it was so beautifully told. When I watched the film, I could really, I transported myself to Kerala. The same kind of houses, the same kind of kitchen, the kind of, how brilliantly they have shot the kitchen of Kerala. How she, the protagonist, Nimisha Sajayan, such a brilliant actor. Like I can't take my eyes off from her. Like she was flawless. And in Bollywood, we have certain, parameters to be an actor. I mean, look at them. Like they're simple. They are a normal looking, dusky looking women and actors. They're so relatable. They are just amongst us, one of us,
Coming to the star cast, because you touched on Nimisha's character, I mean, how do you find her overall character in the movie?
Oh my God, she was so good. That woman was so good that she didn't, I couldn't even blink my eye off from her expressions, her mannerisms. She recently got married, so she's coy. She's trying to adapt the culture of her in-laws, her husband. No dialogues. I think the best part of the film is less dialogues and slow pace. Like a lot of people have come to me and said, hey, the film is really slow. I think that's the beauty of the film.
Yeah, in fact, I was also feeling, why has Rohit recommended me this film for the first 15 minutes? I was like, चल क्या रहा है बॉस शादी हो गई है बस किचन दिखाए जा रहे हैं और किचन में खाना बन रहा है स्लो मोशन में मैंने चल क्या रहा है then slowly I could understand the context.
Director Joe Baby has done a fabulous job in telling a simple story. It's a one-line story. See, Priyanka, it's a one-line story. It is so difficult to weave a story around that one line. If you tell what is the film about, you will say, it's about patriarchy, and it's about testing patience of a woman who just got married, and she comes up, she wants to become a dancer, classical dancer, but she ends up her career and she gives up everything for the family. And she ends up marrying this, man who's so patriarchal. His parents, everybody. I think the father-in-law, mother-in-law was equally, helpful and resourceful to the newlywed. But it's a normal story, but it is shown in such a different way. It is shown and told in a beautiful manner that it actually leaves you thinking that, oh my God, being a matriarchal society down south, patriarchy still exists. It's one of the funniest irony I've seen in the films.
Yeah,
But
because she's educated.
It's an honest film. It touched my heart.
Yeah, she's educated.
She's educated,
She's
very
married to
good,
an educated man.
and comes from a very good
family.
Exactly. Yeah, and they are well off. They are. It's not that they have shown poverty or they have shown a low middle class background. They have shown a decent house. They have shown a decent background. An old man, an old couple, and the guy who works, married to this girl who wants to be a classical dancer. But again, so I was kind of blown away with the whole narrative. And the beauty of the film is the pace of the film. The most I like in the film is the silences, the pauses, the slow pace was so touching and so engaging that it's unbelievably good. It's mesmerizing to say, at least, because the director has done a fabulous job. And kudos to the stars, Nimisha and Suraj. Venjira Mudu, he's one of the popular actors down south. And the angst of patriarchy, the whole build up he comes across. I started hating him towards the end of the film, and I'm like, you can't do this anymore. You can't do this. Like, get up, pick up, clean your table, pick up your plate and put and dump into the sink and rinse it. Don't trouble your wife. And I was like, shit, I mean, such people, and it's so funny, Priyanka, Kerala has the highest literacy rate.
And that's what even every time.
This is a very basic household thing.
Yeah, that was kept running in my mind too. Isn't he a teacher? Isn't he a person who's already like from a well-to-do family? Why is he doing this? Why is he, like, or is there some? In fact, for the longest time, I was blaming the mother-in-law for raising him like that. I was like, what are these?
Yes, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to it. I think patriarchy arises from your upbringing. Patriarchy is on the seed level. If you go there in the Indian households, you see a mother pampers a son in a different way and pampers a daughter in a different way. Like, luckily, I was born up in a family where my mother told me to do certain things in the kitchen since I was a child. And thanks to her, in fact, ailment, she was completely, she had spondylitis and she has back issues. So my dad, my brother, and I, all three have been in the kitchen since ever we know the kitchen. The concept of family, concept of, unfortunately, patriarchy is everywhere. You cannot confine it to a specific region or something like that, but it exists in South India, it exists in Western India, it exists everywhere. It depends upon person to person. It depends upon your upbringing, how you have been raised. I think there's a lot. I mean, mothers are responsible where, there's a short film called Juice. If you have seen it, I don't know whether you have seen it or not, but please go and watch it. It's a smaller version of The Great Indian Kitchen. It stars Shefali Shah. Okay. And it's on YouTube. You'll get the film on YouTube. It's again, there's a culture you must have also seen while growing up. All the gents sit in a different area. They are drinking, and all the ladies are in the kitchen serving the food. Collectively,
and feeling happy.
And there's
about
a twist.
It. I mean, they're always feeling as if they've been born to serve the man. And which I personally have never related to.
Absolutely.
And not just because of the movie, but in general.
I think none of us.
Yeah.
None of us. I think that's what I'm saying. In today's generation, our generation has been drastically changed. We both the genders give equally to the kitchen. We cook together. We do household chores together. So I think patriarchy is obviously been buried now. I mean, we are on that path at least. But whatever is shown, whatever the film has shown, we see in the film in The Great Indian Kitchen, I think it exists and it's very, very hard hitting. It's a very sad part actually that it happens. And
if we talk about the overall movie, I feel it's the reality which exists in 70 to 80% of the kitchen still in our country. I'm not.
Like small things, like how his father tells the bride, like the new Nimisha, that, आज तुमने grind नहीं किया हाथ से, मिक्सी से किया, right? So they're so particular about their tastes, everybody is, in fact, whoever loves food, I think everybody is particular about the taste, and it matters a lot whether you grind in a mixie or you grind by hand. So she makes nariyal chutney for the house, in the breakfast, and he actually taunts her that don't do that next time. And he finishes his food and gets up, and talking about the pace again, I want to notify her a very, very important thing. I think the slow pace was the reason to show the monotony of her life in the new house, perhaps. That monotony was a build-up of her patience. That monotony was kind of woven in a way that it makes the narrative very strong. That's why a lot of people find the first half little slow, but I think it's worth the wait. Whatever happens.
And you use the right word, Rohit, the build-up. I think the right word is the build-up.
Yeah. It has a similar narrative as Thappad, which has Taapsee Pannu. She continuously makes lemongrass tea, and I was like, why she's doing that? Why that scene has been repeatedly shown in the film? Then later you come to know that that's the monotony of her life. So I think that's a similar kind of narrative they have shown in The Great Indian Kitchen as well.
Yeah. And talking about the other characters.
See, the father-in-law was so hopeless. Let's not talk about it. He was full of himself, so rude, obnoxious, and people are like that. So I have given the marks to it. But what I liked was the role of mother-in-law. If you notice, she was trying to slightly help the daughter-in-law. And when she goes to her own daughters when she was about to deliver, I think she's pregnant, and to care for her, to nurse her and all. And she keeps calling Nimisha, in the film that, just relax, no issues. It's okay if they're saying anything, just relax, just cook the way you want to. And she also provokes her to fill that form. She is a woman and she understands the pain she's going through in the house. She must have also gone through the same. And she's such a devotee wife that she's quiet and she's doing her work every day. She gets up, she cooks the breakfast, and she even keeps the slippers for her husband.
I was like, what is this?
This is Mera Pati Parmeshwar hai. This is the feeling behind that emotion.
Let me put
which is
you
absolutely
in the
rubbish.
same shoes. If your wife or your future partner does that, would you like it? Would you want to be part of such a thing?
First of all, I won't marry a partner like that.
Yeah, I know.
I want an independent partner. I want an independent partner, modern partner, who understands family rituals a bit, but not patriarchal. I somebody never endorsed patriarchy, and I luckily work in the kitchen with my mom, and I'm very happy the way I'm brought up. And my mother is very, very proud of both the sons because we both understand household chores. We distribute our work like that. So my upbringing is very, very different with other men also, because I have seen a lot of people are very unhygienic. They are not disciplined. They don't keep. And I personally have OCD. So I keep my kitchen very, very clean and nice and all that stuff. So I'm one of the most rarest boy, whatever you say. I'm not boasting about myself, but I feel, my mother always says one thing, your personality reflects in your kitchen and washroom.
Yeah, so true.
And it's a very, very deep emotion and thought. I think it has very, very strong emotion, but people don't get that. People take it very easily, and people say, "Oof, okay, kitchen to hai, padi hai, maid kalegi," something like that. But maid is also a human being. You are paying her for cleaning the vessels, not the shit.
Yeah. And coming to that, how the movie has shown the mundane task of the great Indian kitchen. It's mundane, it's slow, it is painstaking. The amount of pain that women in general. There is a montage where they have shown different houses and different cutting and chopping going on. And feel that the pain and it's not just the pain, it's also the love which mothers have for their kids. That's why they're cooking for them.
Correct. So there's in the film, there's no love. It's a responsibility. It's a liability.
Yeah.
It's a duty which she was doing every morning. And also, she was a person, if that husband would have shown little love and little bit of sensitivity, she would have reciprocated in the same way. She was not asking too much from her husband.
Yeah.
There's one scene where she requests to change the pipe of the sink, which is a very, very common issue in every household, right? And that stupid man is so busy and so ignorant about this simple issue of repairing the pipe. And what happens next in the end is something I applauded. The best part of the film was the climax. It's like tit for tat. I said, do it. Like, yes, he deserves it. Like, do it. You started, having hatred. You started hating the character of Suraj. That's the beauty. I think that's the performance and that's the way the character was written. So I think full marks to the writing and the direction.
What about the scene where she's on the bed and she's requesting him for a bit of foreplay and how he mocks her? What do you think about that?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so there is one scene. There's one shot, actually, it's a top angle shot. They are obviously making love. And that unhygienic kitchen, like the unclean kitchen, she's remembering that and she's smelling her fingers because she's not interested in a husband that time. So it's a very, very strange. It's a top angle shot, if you remember.
Yeah, I do.
It's a top angle shot, and suddenly it's 2 seconds. For 2 seconds, she just like smells her fingers and she just makes that stinky face, right?
Yeah.
So such thing.
Even if they are, nobody will show it in the camera, but
nobody will show it the way they have shown
it.
Yeah, but the film revolves around that. I think it was made and told in that way. So maybe I think that was the reason the shots they have taken. Even there's a certain shot angle where the way she's cutting the vegetables, she's chopping them. So there's a certain camera angles he has shot, which you don't see in run-of-the-mill films,
Yeah.
Nothing was fancy in the kitchen because it was so real. Yeah.
So the dirt was real. Everything was real.
The dirt was real. Everything was real. The small chula which they had in the side of the kitchen where she used to cook rice. It happens in the houses of Kerala, especially interiors of, In fact, after watching the film, I had a word with my friend. She loves the film. She told me that, it happens. And because she comes from a modern and urban family. And, she's like, it might not happen in my family, in my kind of people, my circle, even in our laws, family and all. But it still exists.
Yeah, it still exists. And I think that's what the hidden agenda of the movie is. Let's talk about what still exists. We might be in 2020, but where is the real India still? The real India still is in the great Indian kitchen. Ironic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the good part of the character of Nimisha is also, it's not that she jumps into the angst.
Yeah.
She sees for a couple of days. She's trying to adapt. She's giving her percentage of, putting efforts, and she's trying to adopt that thing. But these men are like so useless that she has to take that step, in the end. And I was so happy when she goes for her class. Yeah. In the end, it left me in tears and smiled together. So
if we were watching this movie together, like olden days, pre-COVID days, I'm sure the whole picture hall would have rooted for Nimisha for the last few seasons.
Oh, absolutely. I would have told her, throw one more glass of that dirty water on his face. I loved the climax, Priyanka. I loved it. I was like, whoa. And I was like, I couldn't cut the marks. I was like, okay, it's 5 on 5. Whoa. It's 10 on 10 on everything.
Wow.
I loved it. I just loved it. I think the direction, the writing, the performances, everything was so apt.
Yeah.
So apt.
So then I get my answer. What is the Twisted Taver rating for this movie?
Twisted Taver ratings for the Great Indian Kitchen is 5 points from my side. It's so difficult, and I as a critic, as an expert, I'm honored to watch the film, and thank you the whole team of Great Indian Kitchen for making such a film and showing the world the real kitchen of India. I'm really thankful to Joe Baby, the director. His name is only Joe Baby, so you know how he must be so childlike.
In the end credits, it says cooked by Joe Baby, and I was like, "Yay! What a way!"
Yes.
It's simple, but yet very witty.
So I would in the end I would love to say this: the Great Indian Kitchen is a utterly delicious dish. Please have it soon. Whoever has not have it yet, please eat it. Please binge watch it. You won't regret it.
Yes. So true. Thank you, Rohit. Thank you for the rating and for your review. And just because you're an expert, and I have to keep asking you about the industry. Like you see how Bollywood is, and you see how Southern. What is the stark difference, and how do you see this kind of cinema evolving in down south?
Priyanka, when I visited Kerala in 2010, exactly 11 years ago, since then I developed a certain taste for Mallu films, because when I went there and I met people there and I got to know about the stars and all. I mean, obviously, Mammootty and Mohanlal are world famous. These two people are obviously world known faces. But actors like Nimisha Sajayan, Suraj Venjaraddu, and a very, very handsome actor called Tovino Thomas, I think they all have emerged like stars. They are simple. Their expressions are up to the mark. The storytelling is so beautiful that they blend in so well. So the newer generation of Malayalam films, of Malayalam's stars and all, they are so good, Priyanka. And their stories are honest, simple, and told in a very simple way. Yeah. Like they might not be grand like Bahubali or films like Radhe Shyam, which is about to release, which has Prabhas and Pooja Hegde, or Magadhira for that matter, is one of the biggest Rajamouli's love stories. But the Malayalam industry has definitely great content, I would say. And we have to give it to the directors and the writing team there, because they handpick moments from life and they show it to us on a big canvas. Yeah, I think you have to give it to them. I think it's one of my favorite storytelling down south, and I think the Malayalam industry is on the go, and it will emerge like anything in coming future also. And I think they are competing really hard with the Telugu and Tamil industry, and also Hindi cinema, because I think Bollywood is the most consumed industry in I think perhaps the whole world.
Yeah.
But Malayalam content is amazing. It's one of the best in the country, I would say. You pick up any other film. Like I have seen other films also in the recent past. The films are so, they show it very minimal.
Yeah. So that's what I was coming to. If you want to give like few recommendations for the movies that the kind of audience which enjoyed Great Indian Kitchen, if you would like to give 2 or 3 other names, what would they be?
Yes. So I just finished Kala, which has again Tovino Thomas. He's my personal favorite. Then watch Kala, and there's a beautiful film called Joji. Okay. Joji. It's again on Amazon. Even Kala is on Amazon. Joji deals with the family politics, about the property and everything. And oh my God, shit, I have goosebumps right now. It's a thriller. It's a family thriller. And amazing film. Like one of the best films I've ever seen in the recent past. So Malayalam content, hats off. Please go and binge watch on Amazon. There are a lot of good Malayalam films. I've recently watched Helen also. Helen is about a delivery girl who goes missing.
Wow.
Yeah, so great films. Kudos to the Malayalam industry, and thank you for making and telling such great stories to all of us.
Yeah.
And make our day more happier.
Yay. Thank you so much, Rohit. Thank you for recording the second episode of
Thanks,
Kahani Mein Twist.
Priyanka. It was
and this
so
Kahani deserves deserves a round of applause for making it.
Round of applause.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All the hoots and whistles and applauses. I would say let's give a standing ovation to The Great in the Kitchen.
Yes.
It is one of the most honest films I've ever seen in the longest time.
Great. Thank you, Rohit. Thank you for recommending and thank you for this amazing review. Guys, you have to start following Studio Scoop. We are waiting now for your suggestions on the review. Which movies
Yes.
do you want Rohit and me to talk about? We are more than happy to do some other unconventional movies as well. We are not just Bollywood hungry.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. So let's
absolutely.
Stay tuned.
Thank you,
Hear the
Priyanka.
podcast and thanks, Rohit. Stay safe and we'll catch you soon again with another great review.
You too. Yes. Very.
Bye. Bye.